Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Adam. Welcome to another Halloween film review. And in this spooky episode, we're going to be taking a look at The Sixth Sense on VISTA series DVD. The Sixth Sense is a film that was released in 1999 and written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. It stars Bruce Willis, Toni Collette, Haley Joel Osment, RIP, and has a really interesting cameo, I'd say, by Donnie Wahlberg as well. On a budget of $40 million, it made over $672 million in global box office takings. Went on to do even more on home media releases, which we'll talk about at the end of this video. Now, the story of how this film got made, I think is really funny, or ironic, really. I don't know. But basically, the way it goes, M. Night Shyamalan wrote a treatment for The Sixth Sense, and somehow a Disney executive got hold of it and was like, this looks good, we need to make this, and gave M. Night Shyamalan a $3 million advance to go and write the screenplay for the rights for Disney to make the film. It did come out under Hollywood Pictures, I believe, in conjunction with Spyglass Entertainment, and distributed by Buena Vista Publishing. Now, he didn't get any authority to do this, and he also assigned a budget of $40 million. So Bruce Willis was hired, Haley Joel Osment was hired, the stars in that were cast. This executive lost his job because of this. One of the conditions of this project is that M. Night Shyamalan said, I want to direct my own writing. So he got the job as director, and the executive lost his job. Now, this went on to be a big, huge success for Disney, and that poor executive has never been properly thanked for it. It's kind of ironic, but yeah, I don't know why I find this funny, really. The guy lost his job. Anyway, the film itself, everybody says it is a supernatural horror. I don't think that's true for me. I see this more as a supernatural thrilling documentary, if anything, but I guess back in 1999 things were a little different. Now, it was shot on Panavision cameras, and it was shot using Panavision Panaflex Millennium cameras with spherical prime lenses. Really nice. The aspect ratio is 1.185 to 1, and it was shot on Eastman Kodak stock film, and it contained Dolby Digital 5.1 and DTS sound. I really do enjoy this film. Now, this film has a massive kind of plot twist at the end of the film, almost like a spoiler. I'm not going to spoil it in this video. You're safe if you've never seen this film. But I will say there are loads of YouTube videos out there spoiling this film. If you've never seen this film, don't watch other YouTube videos because they spoil the ending. And if the ending gets spoiled for you, it's kind of like you're watching it on the second run for the first time. And it's a different experience completely. This is the kind of film where once you watch it, you want to rewatch it to see if you can pick up hints towards what the ending is. And in all honesty, it's like getting two films in one, and I love it when films do that. So I won't spoil the ending, but just beware if you've never seen it. In all honesty, I think everybody's seen this. It is a really good film. The acting in this is like, Donnie Wahlberg is a very underrated actor in this film. Like, everyone focuses on Haley Joel Osment because he's so young and he's so good. And Bruce Willis, well, he's just kind of reacting to everybody and just kind of like, and that's it. But reacting is such a great form of acting. Everyone focuses on the acting, but reacting is even more crucial, I think. And Bruce Willis is the king of reacting because he's just casually like, and he's playing his part perfectly. I can't foresee anybody else in this role. Just like the Haley Joel Osment's character Cole, I can't foresee any other child actor playing his part. He does it perfectly. But Donnie Wahlberg is on another level beyond them two. And I didn't even know it was Donnie Wahlberg until like a month ago, okay? Because I've seen this film back in 1999 on VHS, and I didn't know who that actor was. I first saw Donnie Wahlberg, obviously in Marky Mark, but I first saw him in the film Saw 2, and have grown to like him as an actor, ever since. And only just realised that this is the guy at the beginning of the film. And he went all in for the role that he plays in this film. He lost loads of weight. He went into the psychology of his character, even went out in the world and kind of like acted like a homeless person, to sort of get into the mindscape for this. And he does such an underrated performance that nobody really talks about. Now, when this film came out, it was nominated for every Oscar going, and it didn't win a single one, and it's such a shame. The music score to this is done by James Newton Howard, and I really enjoy the music score to this. It is edited within like breaths, like human vocals going like this, that you don't initially recognize, but adds so much atmosphere to every single scene, and we'll talk about the sound later on. The director of photography was Tak Fujimoto, who also did the Silence of the Lambs that we reviewed in the last video, and I've got to say, his style you can clearly see again in this film, like the Silence of the Lambs, but the way he's made the picture look really does fall in line with what M. Night Shyamalan wanted for story plots, with the color red. And I won't explain what that is, but the grade of the picture is kind of a cool bluey tone to it to highlight that red even more. And, I have got some 35mm frames of this film, and it is that same sort of bluey tone to it that highlights a red whenever a red is in the scene, which, to be honest, the color tone of this film is pretty neutral. There's a lot of browns, there's a lot of grays, which only highlights the color red even more. Color is very controlled in this film, very muted, so when there is a color red on the screen, it pops, and there isn't really other popping colors. The way that the picture was graded was done for a particular intent to the story itself. The film itself, I've got to say, The Sixth Sense is a very emotionally driven film, very well thought out, very layered. Like, I'll give you one nugget, but again, I don't want to spoil it. I'm not going to say the story. Well, actually, I'll tell the initial story, so you get the idea of this thread that I'm going to tell you. Again, I'm not going to spoil it. So the film is set in Philadelphia, and it centers around a psychiatrist who's like just been nominated by the city as being the best one ever, and you clearly see him, they're in love with his wife, he's just been nominated, and he's feeling good about himself until one of his old patients confronts him in his home and says, "You didn't help me," and he ends up shooting himself. And that must have really affected Bruce Willis's character. I think his name's Dr. Malcolm Crowe. Cut to a year later, and he's obviously working with other clients, feeling a bit low now, and very withdrawn from his partner. His wife and him don't speak. They're having marriage issues, and he is put in front of a young boy called Cole who claims he can see dead people. He doesn't say that straight away. You grow into that. And he says, he just seems like a very troubled young boy. Now, that's all I'm going to say, because obviously he's a psychiatrist. He's going to help the kid. That's all I'm going to say about the story. But the real layeredness to this film is that, you're watching the psychiatrist help the boy, and that's kind of expecting what he'll help him. But what really is happening, and it's never stated in this film, and it's never kind of nodded to, is that the boy actually helps the psychiatrist. And that is it's a very good script, well thought out. And looking at the extras that are on this DVD, it seems that M. Night Shyamalan really did have a hard time with this story. He was given $3 million and there was no script. He had to come up with it. And he says in these extras that he was having a lot of trouble finding the character of the story. And until he put in, oh, it's a young boy that things are happening to, then it all came flooding out. But writing his dialogue, he found very hard. And so when they cast, you know, the actor, Haley Joel Osment, who, you know, his only role previously was a Forrest Gump. He was, you know, Forrest's son. And he did a really good job, you know, for what he needed to do. But in this one, he is on another emotional level. Like, he is probably, yes, out acting Bruce Willis, you know, and possibly even Donnie Wahlberg. But his natural, you know, charisma in this, you know, he's not playing like other children. You know, he is playing like an adult, you know, and he's like, I don't know how old he is, 7 or 8 in this film. But, yeah. But it was when they cast him that then M. Night Shyamalan could write the script of vocals for the character Cole much more easily. So it kind of really became a collaboration. Like, what I'm trying to say is there wasn't this pre-script that was like the best in Hollywood, you know, from legendary director M. Night Shyamalan. It was a process of how it came to be through the making, and it was truly a collaboration of all the actors and the crew. You know, M. Night working with the storyboard artist, so he's drawing up the script in visual form. That's an extra on the disc as well, really a funny one as well, and I'll get to that later on. But it's a real collaboration. So the genius of the film wasn't there at the beginning. It developed with everybody throughout the course of this. And I think this film really did put M. Night Shyamalan on the map in Hollywood as being the next Alfred Hitchcock, because there's so much suspense, there's so much build-up, there's so much drama that you're on the edge of your seat for, and it's done very well in both audio and picture, okay? So that's pretty much the film, okay? So the DVD now. Like, this came out initially on VHS and Laserdisc in the year 2000. Laserdisc is like over £100 if you want to buy it on eBay. This VISTA copy, I think, cost me about £8, and it was the first release in the VISTA series line. And I just love the cover art of that. It's a very ghostly, like, it's got a sepia brown tone to it, and it's got this ghostly picture of Bruce Willis with his breath, the sixth sense. And I feel this is a much more appropriate cover than the actual release that came out on VHS, Laserdisc, and DVD before the release of this. It has like an orange faces coloring, and it just doesn't. I think this looks more in keeping with the tone of the film. You have a list on the back there of all the extras with Cole's character, the character Cole there, and it says here that there are exclusive extras on this set, which at the time of printing this disc in what must have been late 2001, because this was released January of 2002, that was true. But by October 2002, Disney released the collector's edition, 2-disc set, and all these extras appear on that, and all these extras appear on the Blu-ray, and from what I can see, they all appear on a 4K. So now it's no longer exclusive to this set, because they repackaged it for other releases, which is a shame. But it is a slip cover case that you take off like that, and inside you get a nice little digibook, which again has loads of artwork on the front and on the back, scenes from the film, you know, with this sepia toned metallic look. It's all made out of cardboard, so the more you sort of do this, you're just wearing out the spines, and eventually it will disintegrate. There's a shot, another shot of Bruce Willis, like really nice. All the pictures in here look pretty cool. Sorry about the reflection of the light there, but there's loads of imagery. As you open it up, it expands, you know, and you see more of the artwork as it goes to reveal the discs. Yeah, it's very ghost-like. It's very ghostly, very spooky. Now, obviously, it's a 2-disc set, so the film is on one disc and the extras on another, but there is a little bit of physical media to it as well. And this is now, it is truly exclusive to this set. None of these appear in any other one. So you get a production notes booklet, which I think is great. You know, you get the contents, and it really basically just goes through the extras there, of what you can find inside, with a write-up about what each extra is in the set. And the booklet kind of folds out, and you see there's some storyboards there. There's another write-up on the back there, and it's a really interesting booklet. But the real meat of the, is in the tracing paper envelope. It's made of like tracing paper for some reason, and inside it looks like an envelope. It is a bit of a bugger to get out, to be honest. A bit fiddly. It's like, I don't want to tear the envelope, but I want to get this thing out. Here we go. Eventually you get it out, and it's a piece of white card there. And on the white card, it says, The Sixth Sense, a storyboard sequence. M. Night Shyamalan director. In case you didn't know who directed it. So that's what it says there. When you open it up, it basically has a storyboard sequence inside. And that's it. It's a storyboard of one of the scenes in the film. So, as one of the featurettes on disc 2, it goes through the whole storyboarding the film sequence. And it's kind of funny because you begin to think that they're doing this as they're making the film. So before anything was shot, they're beginning to storyboard, and they're explaining the process of storyboarding. They're like, oh, it's great for us to visually see any issues before we get to the set, so we can actually, solve those issues now rather than, later down the line. And in the background, there are all these posters for The Sixth Sense, released in cinemas. It made like X, whatever million. And it's like, hang on, the film's been released, guys. This ain't filmed before everything. This is filmed during the Signs, the making of Signs. They're storyboarding the film Signs as an extra for storyboarding The Sixth Sense. Kind of ironically funny, but you only kind of understand that about towards the end of the documentary. All the featurettes on disc 2, they're really good. They are really good. They run anywhere between 6 minutes to 20 minutes. They're done with interviews, talking head interviews of all the actors and the director. There's one on storyboarding. There is one on the sound design. There is one on which one is it? The rules of the film, and how you see Frank Marshall talking now, the producer, and how they had to create these rules to make sure that it flowed if you watched it on the repeat, and that they weren't going against anything that disproved anything. There's a load of deleted scenes on disc 2. There's a lot of trailers as well on disc 2. There is the reaching the audience, which is kind of like a reaction to the film when it came out, and how ghosts are sort of integrated. There's a guy talking who wrote Ghost, the film Ghost, and he's talking about the importance of this film. And then what's exclusive to this set at the time of its release is reflections from the set, Between Two Worlds, and Moving Pictures. The Moving Pictures is the storyboard sequence. Between Two Worlds is, the Ghost Talk documentary, and reflections from the set are their thoughts on the film process of making it. It is really interesting. All the extras on here are really good. They're all on their own disc. It is a single layered disc, I believe, but the picture of those extras look absolutely fine. So that's disc 2. Disc 1 is where you get the film, and the film only on disc 1. You get the choice of Dolby Digital 5.1 or DTS 6-channel surround, which I gotta say, I listen to the 5.1 mix the most, but the DTS 6-channel surround has like a little bit of a lift in the rears, only marginally. Now at the end of the day, both these audio tracks are on DVD, and they are heavily compressed on the DVD format when you compare it to the Blu-ray and the 4K versions. But there's very little difference between the DTS and the Dolby Digital 5.1, just a little lift in the rears. The sound quality on this film is absolutely ace. The use of the rears is very controlled to the atmospherics, with the music just having that slight atmosphere added to the room, you know, and the breaths. You know, the music, the main beat of the music is coming from the fronts. The dialogue is crystal clear, never gets lost in the mix, never becomes muddy. Obviously, this is a very conversational, heavy film. There's a lot of talking, and so there isn't much for the sound to really impact with. But when the music and the sound does come to a boom, you know, for effect, and it's not like a jump scare every 10 minutes, and it doesn't try and do cheap jump scares, then that is when, you know, your system is going to really show you what the soundtrack can do, and it is really good. The sound is absolutely brilliant, you know, on this. The picture quality, now, obviously this is a DVD, so it's very limited, you know, when it's been done from the I couldn't find information if it was transferred from the 35mm print or the camera negatives, sadly, but it would have been scanned at 2K to a digital intermediate. The picture on this is sharp as a whistle, if whistles are sharp, as clear as a bell, if bells are clear. Like, this is probably, on this VISTA copy, the best DVD transfer I've seen. Out of all the DVDs I've been reviewing, this is the best. The colors obviously are not popping because it's not meant to. There is like a, and I'll put screenshots up here now, but there is like a blue tint to the transfer, and that's meant to be there, I believe, because to enhance the red color, which plays a factor in the story when you realize it, and so it helps those reds pop even more. Skin tones are adequately, you know, pinky, sort of neutral. They're not like over pink, they're not like completely white. Everybody doesn't look ill. But yeah, color is very controlled in this, but the picture quality of the transfer on this DVD is, as you can see, top notch. There is hardly any artifacts. There is hardly any digital noise. I did not see any crushed blacks, any color banding, or any contrast ringing at all. Like, this is basically the best DVD transfer I've seen. You know, it's very good, and it's not surprised, to be honest. They used spherical lenses, prime spherical lenses, with like the Millennium camera. Like, they used the best equipment basically, and that's helping the fact that it's a digital intermediate transfer rather than a analog one, which would have added loads of noise that then would have had to been scrubbed out. Like, the faces will have a lot of detail. It doesn't look like that much DNR was used to scrub the image. A 2K scan isn't going to bring up loads of grain that needs to then get washed out through, you know, DNR. So like the sharpness is pin sharp. The picture, you know, even in the background there is plenty of detail, but everything you see is what you're meant to see, I get the feeling, you know. Obviously, I don't know if the DP, you know, had any approval or supervision on the transfer of this. I couldn't find any information about that. Most likely not. Disney doesn't exactly get involved with the DPs to transfer their films. This was most likely done, probably, I would say, by Spyglass Entertainment. I really don't think Disney would have paid out the money to do this. I think it was Spyglass Entertainment who did the transfer. But the Vista series is a Disney release, so maybe it was Disney who did it. But the transfer is A+ on this. It is really good, as you can see from the screenshots. Now, other releases down the line. So, I think it was like 2008 or something, the Blu-ray came out. And the Blu-ray is literally a port of this. The picture, the sound, the extras are mirrored. You know, you have DTS, I believe, and Dolby Digital 5.1. It is still a little bit more compressed than what you'd get, I think, on the 4K, but it is much less compressed to what is on this package here. Basically, the Blu-ray, which looks to me, and I have seen what it looks like, just looks like the master to this DVD set. It is less compressed, you know, it's the uncompressed version of this, effectively. The color has been kept, you know, in the grade of the picture, in line with with what you got on here, with what you got on Laserdisc, on VHS, with most likely, looking at my 35mm prints, is what was in the cinema. You know, it's a really good Blu-ray. You know, if this cost me like, say, like £8, the Blu-ray is probably about 20 quid. And this honestly has the same detail as the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray and this and the Laserdisc and the VHS probably all stem from the same common scan taken at 2K, you know, per frame, to a digital intermediate file, and then they made the VHS version, the Laserdisc version, the DVD version, and the Blu-ray version, all from that same 2K scan. Now, when it comes to the 4K, I do believe they went back and rescanned the negatives or rescanned the film prints at 4K per frame. This brings up a lot more dust, a lot more grain, and the prints have aged since then. We're in 2025 as of recording this video. I believe The Sixth Sense came out either earlier this year or last year on 4K. I could be wrong about that. But at the end of the day, it's been well over 10 years. The prints have been lying around collecting dust, and there's a lot more grain that can be picked up on a 4K scan. So I have seen an image of what the 4K scan looks like, and the picture grade has been changed completely. No longer does it have that blue feel, that chilling cold blue feel to it, you know, which highlights the reds. It has a warm to it now, which really subdues the reds. The color tends to look like it's trying to pop in certain scenes. The faces look a bit sickly green, to be honest. They look a bit like they're all got, you know, they're all dying. You know, the skin tones are completely changed. I'm not on board with the 4K version at all. It contains all the same extras as this DVD set, as the Blu-ray set. The sound, you know, is the same, just less compressed than the Blu-ray, no doubt. It's completely different, though. Like, it basically ruins the film for me, because the reason the picture grade, the color grade rather, was done at the time of release was for a particular reason for the film, to support its emotional display, and that's completely changed in the 4K scan. The artwork for the 4K scan is completely, like, looks, yeah, it's just trash. You know, I much prefer this artwork than even the original release artwork. Now, I'm going to put a picture up here of, in fact, I'll just do it all over the screen, of a comparison between the 4K and the Blu-ray. And as you can see from this comparison now, that it does look like the Blu-ray is more in line with the DVD, but the 4K is completely different. Some might prefer it, some might say, well, there's more details to be found, but I don't really see the need to see, you know, detail in Cocoa Puffs as well as it needs to be, you know. Like, I've seen a picture of the hand on the table. The table color is completely different, but the hand is more pronounced. The sort of ghostly hand on the table, it's much more pronounced now. And it, in this version, it's kind of like almost there, and it looks a bit more spooky. In the 4K one, it's really there, and it doesn't look as spooky, you know. So for me, the Vista version of this film is absolutely perfect. I don't need the Blu-ray version with the quality looking like this. It's on here, it's anamorphic, it's really good. It's everything you need, to be honest, you know. And it's a great spooky film for Halloween. So, you know, if you haven't seen it, go check it out and let me know what you think about it in the comments below. But that's it. In the next film, I did actually say in the last film, in the last video, we'd be doing Hannibal next. And here we are with The Sixth Sense. Guys, in the next video, I will be reviewing Hannibal. Not strictly Halloween now when I do this, but, you know, this is the follow-on from The Silence of the Lambs. So yes, that will be next. And then after that, we will be doing M. Night Shyamalan's other spooky film, The Village, which is supposed to be, you know, another scary thriller, but people have said this is absolute crap. Anyway, Thank you so much for watching, guys. Take care. I'll see you in the next one. Keep them spinning.